Good day to you my friends, I'm Kennetor and today I'm going to be reviewing the new space colony game Ixion from Bulwark Studios. I've completed this from beginning to end, so it will not just be a first impression. So stick around and let's run through how well it played, while I tried to keep spoilers to an absolute minimum. Shout out to Bulwark and Casado for supplying this early review copy. This game has been compared and pitched as a Frostpunk in space, and the devs have even stated they have drawn inspiration from Frostpunk as well. And while the influence is clear, you shouldn't expect a cookie cutter copy with the change in setting. More on this comparison later. Ixion kicks off with dumping you right at the start of its story via an intro video that immerses you and pulls you into the game world before having you set up the Tycoon station for its first test run to Alpha Centauri and back. Which, if you've seen the trailer or played the demo earlier this year, you know results in the destruction of the moon and a cataclysm for those on Earth. The game's visual style immediately stands out in everything. The detail of all the structures, from simple storage warehouses to research centres, everything has been crafted to look good from all angles, and nearly every building incorporates some sort of animation on it, which makes the station zones feel alive. But even at the end, when you have trains and drones running overhead, many delivery bots running around the roads, it didn't become overwhelming on the eyes. The video sequences for the story, the vol jumps, and when moving the station never get boring to see, as each one lets you take in the simply gorgeous space scenery without worrying about the rest of the game. A big standout for me is also the UI. It is very clean, easy to read and intuitive to understand. It never once felt lacking or got in the way of enjoying the game. The primary gameplay revolves around keeping the station alive via resource gathering, logistics and manufacturing, all while trying to keep the station workers fed, happy and productive. The station has 6 main compartments, however to begin with you're limited to just the one, and this early game section is where you find the most comparison to Frostpunk ringing true. You will struggle with balancing power consumption and worker availability for the most part, as the game hits you with different objectives, and even when you get the ability to expand your crew size, workers are not guaranteed, and you are balancing this with food production, which then links back to the power and worker availability. This tension of balance feels perfect, and the tech research available doesn't break this balance quickly either. The tech tree is a big part of the game, with 46 main nodes to unlock, of which a few are story dependent. Nearly all of these different technologies come with extra research you can do on them to improve various aspects, be it increasing the speed of ships or the amount of food you harvest, to name a few. And with such a huge amount of things to research, this can become overwhelming, as you try once again to balance the generation and spending priority of your research points. This brings me to yet another Frostpunk comparison. Once you've built research ships, you can send them out to explore points of interest, and each has its own little story. Some may just be scientific in nature, like observing or sampling geology. Others start to get a bit more mysterious in nature. But in general, you can expect to find mostly research or more resources from these encounters, and are well worth doing. And this is where Ixion drops a point behind Frostpunk for me. Don't get me wrong, I think Ixion still does well here, but in Frostpunk, these choices would sometimes come back much later in the game to either benefit or disadvantage the player. I didn't see much or any of this happen in Ixion, and some of this would be stopped by the fact that you're not in the same system the entire game. But Ixion does do things differently with the points of interest that I really enjoyed, and that's the fact that you have to find them. This is done by probes you send out, and this will also be your primary mode of finding resources too. And it's all bundled into a really easy to understand UI. You'll be pinpointing new missions, story elements, resources and whole planets with these in no time. While it's nothing groundbreaking, it became a core part of moving to a new system, scanning out all the points and finding the resources I needed to mine while sending out research ships to the newly found missions. Now, one of the mysteries I never quite cracked was the Naomi protocol. This option can come up with blue text, making it stand out, but I never ran into or found a reason or source for this option, which by the end made it feel like I missed out on something. Either way, this just felt like a road to nowhere, something that kept grabbing my attention for no reason. But as someone who likes a good mystery, at least provided it can be solved, which in games they should be, this will, along with the want to try out other playstyles, make me want to play the game again. Replayability won't be as high as with Frostpunk, since Ixion is a bit more story focused compared to Frostpunk's main objective to just survive the hell that is Eternal Winter. Ixion, however, does have multiple endings to look forward to, and I've already experienced 2 so far, or 3 if you count failing. So if you enjoyed your first playthrough, you will no doubt play it again. There are also multiple ways to manage your station too, for things like happiness, food, and power, so no 2 people's playthroughs will be the same. The game also has completely optional policies you can apply to different zones, like less food rations, more or less work hours, and others. This lets you control how far you want to push the people in the station in the name of progress, and puts a lot of the difficulty control in the player's hands by letting them choose to make things harder on themselves for a chosen trade-off. The middle section of the game is where you will find the most freedom as you finally get a grip on all the systems and resources within the Tycoon, where you can explore more of the tech tree, zone layouts, and explore more missions. This is where Ixion becomes its own and doesn't keep to the time pressure Frostpunk has. While taking your time isn't without consequence, it does lend itself to a more relaxed playthrough, and that can be either good or bad depending on what you want to get out of this game. However, this is all thrown to the wind in the closing chapters of the game, where things start to escalate rapidly, which makes failing at the last moment a very real possibility. Some of this is a balance issue, one that I've already discussed with the devs and will be adjusted for the final launch build that you guys will be playing. But failing in itself is not a bad thing, it's a learning experience for your next run. But in this case, depending on how much you know about what's coming, you can find yourself unable to win no matter what, and that's definitely not good. Frostbunkers may be no stranger to losing a mission, so if you can take losing in that game, this one shouldn't bother you too much. And I'm glad the game doesn't shy away from pushing you over the edge. Sometimes there is just a no-win scenario, and that pushes you to try harder. And I can't finish this review without mentioning the sound and the music. The soundtrack is just beautiful, and provides a mix of somber and uplifting tones to your day-to-day life as a station administrator. I often found myself humming along as it matched the mood of the game perfectly. The voiceover work is also very good in Ixion, and I just wish there was more of it. For the most part, it's heavily at the start of the game, and spread too thinly throughout the rest. You will also notice various audio cues in the game, everything from the glaringly obvious power overload to a small sound it makes when another probe is ready to launch. No small detail has been missed in this game, and helps to show just how polished the game is. And I mean that too. Through my 40+ hours with the game, I never had a single crash, and only ran into 2 very minor bugs and one annoying one that is easily fixed. And all of those I made sure to report to the devs so they can be fixed for launch. In my experience, that's pretty damn spectacular for a pre-release version of a game, and there was nothing that stopped me playing the game, except my wife nagging me after an 8-hour binge session where I lost track of time. I just couldn't put this game down, and was always enjoying its various different activities. And with that, I have to say yes, I do wholeheartedly recommend this game, and is definitely worth the asking price for any space or sci-fi loving gamer. You can find the Steam page link for the game in the description, and if you like this review, you can support the channel by becoming a member on YouTube or donating via Donorbox. I've also left a Humble Bundle affiliate link below, so if you want to pick up the game from there instead, you'll also be supporting the channel. Now don't forget to drop a like, stay subscribed for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Kanator, out.